Hello, everyone out there in YouTube world, Facebook world, social media world, the world, wherever you might be watching this video from. Welcome to another episode of Musings with MGL. I'm your host, as always, MGL. Thank you for tuning in. As always, click the subscribe button, give it a like on the video if you can, comment, share, tell all your friends about it. Everything really helps grow the channel, and I really appreciate your support. So today we have another episode. It seems like I'm doing these every week. About what latest incident that happened in the country as it relates to firearms and what's going on out there in our world today, especially out there in our country, the United States of America, and the escalation we see in what's happening out there. So, as predicted by most people with a high brain, including myself, I've been predicting it. You can go back and look at my videos. I've been talking about it for weeks now, that it's getting scary out there. It's escalating. Things are getting out of control, and it's only going to get worse. And so we have this incident that happened in Wisconsin. So the last video I did was about the riots that are now taking place in Wisconsin as it relates to the officer-involved shooting up there. And in that same riot, we had this incident that happened last night, or I think it was 2 nights ago at this point when this video airs, of this 17-year-old kid who shot 3 people, killed 2 of them, and wounded another during these riots up in Wisconsin, okay? So we have this incident where the history seems to be the riots are going on. Nobody's doing anything about it, right? The governments won't do anything to shut it down. They're not sending in National Guards. They're not sending in extra police officers. The people who run these cities seem to be okay with what's going on. They're just allowing it to happen, and things are spiraling out of control. So you have a situation where you have a group of people that are rioting. You have the people who would normally take care of a situation like that, those being your elected officials and your government, not taking care of those situations. So then you have private citizens stepping into that role and trying to take care of the situation by themselves, either at the behest of business owners or property owners who aren't getting the support from the government people, so they have to rely on individuals, or people who are just banding together, call them a militia, call them volunteers, whatever you want to call them, and going to these places to protect the businesses as civilians because the government won't do it. So now you have a situation where you have a bunch of armed rioters along with a bunch of armed citizens trying to protect businesses from the rioters. And who could have thought that a situation like that would have turned violent at some point, that somebody was going to shoot somebody and crap was going to go down, okay? Surprise, surprise, right? Mouth open, gaping, breathing. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Clutching the pearls. This is crazy. Who could have predicted this? Well, obviously, again, anybody with half a brain could have predicted this. You have violent people rioting on one side, government authorities not doing anything about it, so you get private citizens that have to come in and step in their role, and then who would have guessed that there would have been a conflict at some point? I'm not going to get into on this video whether this was a justified shooting or not, just like I didn't in my last video about whether the police officer shooting was justified or not. You know why? Because I don't know all the facts. Once again, I care about those pesky little things called facts and evidence, okay? As an attorney, those are the things that I like to look at and that I like to care about. So, yes, there are all kinds of videos out there that support a self-defense claim at this particular point. There are certainly videos that show him being attacked by these individuals. There are videos showing him having to shoot people in self-defense. There's a video, which I think is actually one of the most important videos, of him actually being interviewed earlier in the night by a news agency that was out there. And the kid clearly isn't there to just murder people. He's there to protect the businesses. He's a well-spoken young man. He's there to protect the businesses. According to him, he brought a med kit, a med pouch with him in case anybody got injured. That's not a guy who the left wing are going to try and portray as some crazy militia guy who drove up there from another state because he was looking to kill a bunch of people. Now, having said that, I don't think it's a good idea to have a 17-year-old drive across country to another state to defend businesses during a riot, okay? I've said this before as somebody who carries all the time and is a pro-Second Amendment supporter. I will use my Second Amendment rights to protect myself and my family at all cost. I'm not going to use my Second Amendment rights to protect a physical structure or a property of somebody who I don't know and states several states away from me. Okay, that's not what I'm going to use the Second Amendment for. Okay, if people want to use it for that, it's still their right, but I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think any of this is a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea, obviously, to riot over a 13-second video of an out-of-context police shooting. I don't think it's a good idea to stand down as a government and allow those people to do it. I don't think it's a good idea for a bunch of civilians to band together to try and be, Batman and go into another state and pretend like I am vengeance, I am the knight, and I'm going to protect people because my government won't. People I don't know, people I don't have anything to do with, okay? If the people in the community there want to get together and do that, that's fine. I don't know why we have reached a level in our society where a 17-year-old feels the need to insert themselves into a situation like this, okay? And people can disagree with me like this. I see people all over Facebook calling him a patriot and a hero, and he's the first guy to finally stand up to these people. Look, I get that to some extent. I don't particularly agree with it, though. I just don't think that this is a situation that requires a 17-year-old to go to another state to protect an unknown piece of property from a bunch of rioters. It's just not a good idea, okay? There's better ways to deal with this situation. I mean, I'm a huge fan of rooftop Koreans because it's their property and they're wanting to protect their own property from the rioters. So if the property owners want to do that, that's fine. If there's people who live in that city want to do that, that's fine. When you've reached a point in the country where people are sitting at home and seeing this happen and feel like, well, I'm the one who's got to stop this. I'm the patriot who's got to stand up and go to another state and basically create an incident. I just don't think that's a good idea. So I'm not knocking the kid. I'm not saying he's a patriot and it was self-defense because I don't have all the information. I'm also not saying he's some crazy right-winger that just wanted to go up there and kill a bunch of people. Okay, if I had to guess right now, I'd lean more to it was self-defense. He didn't do anything wrong at the scene. But look, you're never going to get me as an American, as a Second Amendment person, as a father who has children, to advocate or support the concept of sending children, the 17-year-olds sending children into a battlefield like this because we failed them as adults, okay? It's not his job to do this, it's ours. And I agree that we are failing this job, okay? The elected leaders, half of them in the country in these big cities are failing their citizens and they're failing America to take care of it. But it's just, I don't know if this is an I told you so video or whatever you want to call it, but obviously, I'm not going to toot my horn as being some great prognosticator because there were millions of people in the country that have been saying this is going to happen. But, who could have predicted this? It's just a sad event all around, okay? Those guys at the riots are probably jackasses. I think there's stuff out there that some of them were felons and registered pedophiles or whatever. But you don't want to see shooting going on our streets, okay? This isn't something that I'm happy about, I'm proud of, or I think is really cool for the country. It just means it's crap for the country, and it's sad that somebody at such a young age felt like they had to step up and do something like that because those of us who are adults are failing the situation. He has been charged with murder. I think off the top of my head, I can tell you that charge isn't going to stick because there's absolutely no evidence that this was premeditated first-degree murder. Just looking at the video of him interviewed earlier in the night, if his goal was to go up there and just premeditatedly shoot a whole bunch of people, that's what he would have done. He just drove into a crowd with his gun, got out, and started mowing people down. He didn't. He was protecting the business. He was there with several other people protecting the business earlier in the night. You don't bring a tourniquet to a scene and a med kit if your goal is to murder people. So the fact that he was there for several hours doing what he clearly wasn't there just to murder people. So that, I think, is another political overcharge by prosecutors who are trying to stem the situation, stamp down on it, and they're just using the criminal justice system to do it. So I completely disagree with the murder charge in this particular case. I think they should have waited for all the evidence, just like they're waiting for all the evidence on the cops. They didn't go out there and arrest the cops right away for shooting the guy in the back. I give them credit for that because they're waiting for all the evidence. They should have waited for all the evidence in this case as well, because in the evidence that I do have, again, I can't make a definitive statement, but what I have seen, it's certainly a case that they are definitely going to have a problem proving any sort of criminal intent for it. Is there going to be an argument about whether it was self-defense or not self-defense? There could be. But I think it's clear that it was not premeditated, first-degree murder, which is essentially what they're going after the kid for. So that's just my thoughts on it. If you want to break down whether it was self-defense or not, there's plenty of videos out there of people doing that are playing the videos and going it over step by step. I'm not going to do that. I think that is even dangerous because you have certain videos, but you may not have other videos. And I just think that it's the biggest problem we have in the country right now is people are, as I said in my last video, not concerned with facts and circumstances. They're only concerned with the narrative. So you have people wanting to push this kid as a patriot because it fits their narrative. You have people wanting to push this kid as a right-wing, racist because it fits their narrative, just like they try and push the cops as narrative. Let's stop pushing narratives and let's realize what the hell is going on in this country and that it's getting dangerous, and we need to stop this somehow, whether it's through elections or whatever. I'm not going to advocate stopping it by sending dozens of 17-year-old armed with AR-15s into a riot zone, because I don't really think that's how you stop this. I think that's how it escalates and gets even worse. The way to stop it is the adults need to figure out what's going on here and not rely on the 17-year-olds. But look, if it was a self-defense shooting, hopefully it'll come out in court. Hopefully he'll get his due process. I feel horrible for the kid that he was put in this situation and felt that he needed to and killed people, whether it's justified or not. I got to think that just taking another human life is something that nobody really wants to do if they can avoid it. Certainly at the age of 17, he deserves better. The country deserves better. People need to get their shit together and start putting an end to this. So that's my musings on that. Again, if you want to know what the facts of the actual thing are and go through all that, there's plenty of videos out there. This is just my musings about what's going on with the country and kind of my thoughts about where we're headed, and that this is only going to get worse. As long as the government officials refuse to put a stamp down on the craziness that's going out there, you're going to see more civilians doing this. Something like 30-something people or more have been killed in these riots over the course of several months now, and that is becoming a crazy, unacceptable number. So hopefully people realize that it's time to stop goofing around and put an end to this. So give me a like, give me a share, give me a comment. You have questions, go ahead, put them in there. I'll be happy to reply to you. In the meantime, as I always say with what's going on out there, stay safe, stay healthy, stay open, stay vigilant, and as always, carry on.